All right. Well, appreciate the opportunity to make a presentation in regards to the MACS program, Maryland Agricultural Cost Share Program. So I'm going to talk about manure transport and the injection program. A lot of what I have to say sort of piggybacks off of what Hans has just said, so it's good that we go back to back. Um, Next slide then. Okay, I'm going to talk about expenditures just a little bit. What Hans had given you was appropriation. So for FY20, our expenditure for manure transport, 1.8 million. Actually 1.3 was state expenditures, and then the poultry companies, they kicked in for about half for about $500,000 to again make the total appropriation of 1.8. Um, the, the appropriation number that I have there, the 2.6. Actually, Hans had a more updated number, so we'll stay with his number. With manure injection, our expenditures for FY20 was about 400,000 for this year within the program, and we sort of earmark out of our funding sources about $500,000 for manure injection. So we're in good shape financially with our programs, very good shape. We can add some more growth to the program. We're prepared for that. The funding is there. So things should be able to move along. Okay, next slide. Okay. With this, pretty much gives us a 5-year history, the amount of tons of poultry litter or dairy manure and the total tons that were moved for each year. If you compare FY20 over FY19, it's about a 23-24% increase from last year. So we're showing growth with manure transport. Actually, if you compare FY20 to FY16, that is about a 45% growth. So the program is growing every year. The breakout, you may notice down at the bottom, for the alternative uses, 65% of the poultry litter went to alternative uses. 35% was land applied. With dairy and other manures, most of that manure was land applied. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the regulations that were enacted last, well, actually they went into effect November 1 of this year, technically. Seemed like we were working on them all spring, but we got them in shape to, and they were passed by the ALR committee and were adopted. Part of the reasons that we made the changes to the regulations to align the program more closely with how agricultural operations manage manure. With a sending farm, per se, with poultry litter, they may not know to the last minute that they've got manure to move based on maybe a production of a flock of birds, and it could be a last minute decision to go ahead and clean the house and start over again. With the receiving farms that maybe potentially receive manure, weather is always a condition, the ability to stockpile and so forth. So what we've tried to do to administratively create the fast track program that allows us to more quickly handle the applications, make the applications easier for those that want to participate. The other thing that we wanted to do, since Delaware's program was always considered easier and more user-friendly than the Maryland program. So in essence, our program now does pretty much mirror what Delaware had in place. We've got some things that are different, but for the most part, it allows the operator to transport the manure prior to actually applying for it and getting paid for it. So actually the regulations, of course, we started back in 1998 with the Water Quality Improvement Act. The regulations were adopted in 1999, and 2004 was the last change of the regulations. So you can see we've not kept pace maybe with some of the changes, but we're caught up now with our new set of regulations. Okay, so when we added the fast track, the process for applying the program, when the forms are online, there's no need for the farmers to go to a soil conservation district. You could download the forms, send those to us, and apply in that fashion. Um, Only receiving farmers can apply for the fast track option. So it's a sending poultry farm would not be in a position to apply for it. And when I say sending farm, as far as poultry, I'm pretty much looking at no land plan operations. Uh, Soils have to be less than 101 as far as the phosphorus FIV. Um, uh, there is a limit. Basically, we have a prescribed application rate, a limit of 3 tons per poultry litter. With the fast track, with the dairy, it's 6,000 gallon limit. And for solid dairy manure, it's a 10-ton per acre limit. It is limited to certain crops, primarily corn and soybeans. It's another crop I think we might be adding to that, but it is limited to crops. You can apply, like I said before, you can apply after the manure has been transported and hauled. Next slide. We still have the standard program. And the purpose of keeping the standard program was if a farmer wanted to apply something more than 3 tons per acre, or if he wanted to apply it to a different crop, the standard program is there. With a standard program, we require certain components of the nutrient management plan to be submitted with that application. We review that application, review the plan components, and approve it prior to it being transported. So it's pretty much the old way is what we still have. Hans talked about transporting manure by rail, so we can just jump over this slide and we'll make some time up. The rates the rates were increased from 12 cents per mile per ton to 16 cents per mile per ton for the lower Eastern Shore counties, manure that is generated in the lower Eastern Shore. And for the other counties, the rate is 14 cents per mile per ton. Next slide. Okay, so with the 2250 that was developed based off of the Salisbury study, when you do the math, manure transported from the lower shore can be transported 140 miles, whereas from other counties, it can be transported out to 160 miles from the originating site. Okay. The program funds are tracked separately for manure, the manure injection program. One of the things that we've done with the manure injection program, we added it into the manure transport application, primarily for the 103 side of the program for dairy, because we had a lot of interest from farmers wanting to do both, and we took 2 applications and made it into one, so they can do both from the same application. With manure injection, we do pay $45 per acre across the board. So it's been also another growing program, and things are moving well for that as well. Thank you. Okay, this is what you would find on our website. Just to let you know, if you're interested in the poultry litter fast track application, we have a list of manure brokers and spreading services that are available. We try to keep that updated so that it's current. And for dairy, the dairy fast track application is there as well. The website site is listed there as well. But again, just basically all you need to do is go to the website, and once you find the manure transport program, in the far right-hand column there, find your particular application that you need, and you can move forward with it. So hopefully, Dwight, maybe that caught us up in time a little bit.